If I say something you don't understand, tell me to say it again. If it's something that you really think is off the wall, so it's okay. If you have a question, ask. That's how we do it. Okay? I- Anytime that we play there, let's talk. Okay? We will have a couple of scriptures to read, so you may be asked to read the good. Any questions there? Okay. All right. Good. Okay. Then after service, then we will have a baptism, and then we'll have our communion together. Okay. All right. The history and origin of Easter. The history and origin of Easter. Less objective is to understand the historical and religious origin of Easter and recognize how ancient pagan traditions influence modern day Easter celebration. So, go forward. Whoa. Okay. Okay. Scripture. Isaiah 53:7. Scriptures. Isaiah 53:7. Since he was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before his shearer is silent. So he did not open his mouth. Isaiah 53:7. Prophesizing Christ. Prophesizing Christ. And Christ's trial, Christ did not say, I'm not guilty. Christ didn't yell. Christ said, whatever you say. He didn't. Yeah. All right. And so Isaiah was prophesying against Christ. And First Peter 2:24, it says, he himself bore our sin in his body on the cross, so that we might die to sin, live for righteousness. By his wounds you have been healed. First Peter 2:24. Okay. The religious background of Easter, and we pretty much know that. Easter is a celebration of the resurrection of Christ. The Bible says that he was crucified, stayed in the tomb 3 days, 3 nights. How you want to count it. Okay? And we find that in the books of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. What's unique about that is that Matthew, Mark, and Luke, as we talked about before, basically say the same thing. Okay? John is different, but in this particular case, John says the same thing as Matthew, Mark, and Luke say. Okay? So very important to understand that. Okay. Also, we need to understand that this was not just in spoken New Testament, but was prophesied. Go back to the book of Genesis. It was prophesied in the book of Genesis after Adam and Eve were sinned. Find prophesied throughout the Bible that the religious basis uh, for Easter. Now, a couple of things we need to make sure we understand. Easter is around the same time as the Passover. And we need to kind of understand the Passover, how it impacts Easter. Okay? Passover started when? When was the Passover began? When was the first Passover? Anybody know? When was the first Passover? Yes. When was the first Passover? Enoch said he was after they crossed the Red Sea. Anyone else? We got another answer here. Ah, he says when the chance to play it, that when, okay, anyone else? You are correct. You are correct. That's the first fact. Now, make sure you understand what I'm talking about here. Ask the question you understand. Passover is like New Year's in China. New Year's in China begins on the end of the day, right? And lasts for about 15 days until But what happened the night before New Year's? The night before New Year's, what? People have a feast, right? People have a feast. Okay. Then New Year's begins the next day. Passover also began with the feast. Actual Passover, their day was the day that the angels came. I mean, the angels came. Okay? So when we think of Passover, think of it again, just like Chinese New Year, which it begins the day before, not the actual day of Passover. Okay? Now, they can turn to Christ. Yeah, is that Passover was when? Passover was Friday. It's where do we celebrate? And we're gonna talk about that. Okay. The feast was the night before. The feast was that Thursday. The way we celebrate. Okay? All right. Now, I say that because you have to understand that the question arises is, should we still follow Passover like Jesus? Should we follow Passover? Yes or no? Passover. Should we follow Passover? You thought something? Okay. Okay. Let me remind you of something. What did Christ say? Christ said he came not to do away with the law, but to fulfill the law. He didn't come to do away with the law. He came to fulfill the law. So he did not come to do away with the past. He came to fulfill Passover. Understand? Okay. So what is Passover? Again, Passover is the lamb was slain, right? Christ was the lamb and was slain. And fulfilled Passover. Now, when the disciples, he was having the Last Supper, that was an extension of the Passover. It was not the end of the Passover. Their dinner was it was Passover. Okay, the feast before. Okay, all right. Christ then took the bread and the wine. It was the new covenant, but it did not destroy the old covenant. We okay with that? Not now. Talk to me. So that, but the disciples didn't understand that. That's why Peter opened up his big mouth and said, not gonna let anything else. Christ said, get behind the devil. Get behind the devil. Because he knew what was going to happen. So the point I'm trying to make is that sometimes we will talk about the Old Testament as if it's something in the past. And the New Testament, something that we live under. That's not true. Everything that was in the Old Testament applicable to everyone, other than those that were specifically for Jews at that time, still exists. Was still true. So any questions? So when the Isaiah says that he will not speak, he will prophet, prophet. Any questions? Okay. Now, go back to it. Okay. When is Easter? Okay. Well, Easter is the first Sunday after the full moon following spring equinox. What's the equinox? Anyone knows what equinox is? I had to look it up, to be honest with you. I didn't know. Equinox. Anyone knows what equinox is? Right. Yeah. Right. It's today happens 2 times a year. Happens 2 times a year when the sun is exactly over the equator and the day and night are exactly the same. Okay. Okay. So and so for the spring equinox, that's what we look at as for Easter. Now we know that Christ died sometime in that time frame, but not necessarily that particular day. Yeah, not necessarily. Right? Now, unlike Christmas, Christmas is always 25th of December. Easter changes every year based upon the calendar. Right? Okay, all right. Now, other thing is that we need to understand is that Easter was not always celebrated on Sunday. Easter was not always celebrated on Sunday. Why? Well, back to what I said earlier. Christ's death is tied to what? Tied to the Passover. The Passover changes every year. The actual day of the Passover changes every year. And it's not like every Sunday. No, it could be on a Monday, it could start on a Tuesday, it could start on a Wednesday, it could start on a Thursday. Okay, it changes every year. But we in our wisdom, men in our wisdom, decided that we wanted to separate ourselves from the Jewish Passover. We wanted to make a distinction so that everybody knows that we're not Jewish. So what we did was we then made it Sunday. That's what we did. So now it's not tied to anything Jewish. It's tied to the moon. Any questions there? Any questions? So now we celebrate on Sunday. Now the only difference is that if you're an Orthodox, Eastern Orthodox church, then your calendar is a little different than the calendar that most everyone else uses. So their Easter is not the same day as our Easter. It's the same format, but because their calendar is different, it falls about two weeks earlier or 2 weeks later. Okay. All right. Any questions there? Yeah, any questions? So we need to make sure we understand this thing called Easter, what it does. All right. Now, understand also that there is nowhere in the Bible that says you're supposed to celebrate Easter. There's nothing in the Bible that says we're supposed to celebrate Easter. Easter was never celebrated prior to Christ's death, and it was several years after Christ's death that it was actually created. So this what we do, what we call Easter, is man-made. Not saying it's wrong, saying it's bad. I just want to make sure we understand, you know, what we're doing, what we're doing. Okay? Any questions there? Okay. Now, this is where I say that so we understand. Next thing is pagan. Pagan. When Christians will go into a area and convert people in the area to Christianity, to make it easier for the people to accept Christianity, they would include certain things that have been pagan. So Easter is picked up the things that really have nothing to do with righteousness. Because it was spring. People look at spring as a new year. Look at spring as a time for fertility. Then certain things came to play. Easter bunny. Easter bunny and actually here, H-A-R-E, not the bunny. The hair was the symbol for Easter because of the fertility. Okay? So we do that. Okay? All right. Then we have other spring festivals, a lot of different things. Okay? Again, the symbol of fertility, eggs. Eggs, the symbol of fertility. All right. Again, here, back. Any questions there? Any questions there? All right. People got that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Then, hold on. Okay. All right. Any questions there? Any questions there? On Easter and pagan, I mean, paganism involved in the place. Now, what else do we do on Easter that has nothing to do with Christ's resurrection? Easter eggs. We decorate Easter eggs. We decorate Easter eggs. Again, has nothing to do with Christ's resurrection. What we do with it. Okay. What else do we do? Someone else. What else we do for Easter? What else do we do for Easter? Oh, awesome. Does have something with Christ. We'll talk about that. All right. Now, in America, where I'm from, Easter is a time when you get new clothes. Oh, it's not just America, right? Okay, other places too. You get new clothes. And what do you do with those new clothes? You wear them to church, right? You go to church. You go to church with your new clothes. All right. And the mother of the church has on the hat, pretty hat with flowers all on it and everything. Okay. And so people attach that to the feast. Okay. And then what they did then was then they said, well, since we go to church, we'll have a parade. So now they have an Easter parade. Okay. Yeah. They show off the new clothes. These are things that that we have done that took us away from this celebration that we're having. Okay. And we do for things that probably not found in the Bible anywhere. Okay. But again, what we as man have decided to do. Okay, we good there? Good. All right. As Christianity spread, early Christians blended the local traditions with their new faith. ease the transition. Talk about. But you want to convert someone, then you have to keep something that they like, and then you add to it. Christmas, Christmas, Christmas is cool. Santa Claus. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Don't tell me that. You know Christmas Santa Claus. Oh, no, you know Christmas Santa Claus. Where you get the present. If you don't get a present, you get a. What? Am I right? No. I know I'm the only. Okay. So I'll confess that when I was a kid, most of the time I expected to get a present for Christmas. Okay. Most of the time, but not all the time. But most of the time I did. Okay. And as an adult, I know that people around me expect to get a present. Am I right or wrong? Oh, I know. Yeah. We have forgotten about what the main thing is, and because we are part of the world. We're part of the world, and we've gotten into the world stuff. Okay, and we got to remember is that the main thing is Christ. The main thing is not the Easter. The main thing is not the Easter egg. Okay, I like chocolate, so I like chocolate eggs. But I can eat chocolate eggs any time of the year. I don't need Easter eggs. Okay, so let's make sure we understand that keeping the main thing, the main thing. All right. Modern day celebration again, Easter bunny, egg hunt, chocolate egg, uh, religious services versus the personal condition. Why do people buy new clothes for Easter? Why? I tell you why. Because some persons smarter than me owned a store and wanted to make money. So what they did was they put advertising says Easter sale. Buy this, buy clothes for Easter. Not that you don't need the clothes before Easter or after Easter, but put it around Easter. So now you can make more money. Okay, that's what we do. All right. Now, going back to your question, again, related uh celebration. One is Lent. Again, there's no place in the Bible that talks about Lent, but we created Lent, and Lent is supposed to represent the 40 days of Christ was been tempted by Satan. That's what it's supposed to represent. It's supposed to represent sacrifice, Christ fasting. So the 40 days was a day of fasting. It used to be real fasting. Now it's just doing away with something that you don't always do, but not do it for the 40 days. That's what it is. Okay? Any questions on that? Yeah, some people still do it. Some people don't. Fairly popular in some denominations. Okay? All right. And we find that in Matthew 4:1-11, what Christ simply by Satan. Okay. Then we have Ash Wednesday. You ever Ash Wednesday? Ash Wednesday is the first day of Lent. Ash Wednesday is the first day of Lent. And what people will do is they take ash and put it on the forehead. Represents stuff. Represents stuff. So you have Ash Wednesday. Again, nowhere in the Bible, but we do it. Okay, I'm not saying anything's wrong with it. I just want to make sure we understand where it comes from. Okay? All right. Then you have Monday, Thursday service. Monday, Thursday service is usually about the week of what we call the Holy Week, starting on Monday, going through Friday. Monday, Thursday. Okay? And some people still do it. And again, there's nothing wrong with it. Just make sure you understand where it comes. Wow. Okay. Any questions there? Now that the Holy Week starts with Palm Sunday, okay, because it when Christ came into Jerusalem, people laid down palm, put down everybody as the Savior. For them. Okay. So Palm Sunday kicks off the Holy Week. Okay. Any questions there? Any questions? Okay. Oh, and just a matter of Lent does not include Sunday when you count the 40 days. It's actually 46 days, not 40 days. But 1 day of the Sunday you don't count when you count the 40 days. That's what it is. Okay. Okay. Now, hopefully, go back. Okay. Now, it says it commemorates the event of the Last Supper, Holy Week, we talked about. Let's talk about, we can talk about this a little bit last week. The Last Supper. The Last Supper included 4 things. We make sure that we remember, okay? Jesus washed feet. Jesus washed feet. He served. Christ came not to be served, but to serve. So that's there. Okay. Number 2 is the uh, the wine and bread. Divided by the okay. Number 3, betrayal by Judas. Betrayal by Judas. And number 4, this is what I want to make sure we understand. That Jesus commands love one another. We want to read. Can you pull that up for us, please? John 13, John, 13:34. John 13:34. And who can read that one? Please, come on, read that one. Better yet, can everyone see that? Okay, everyone read it. Everyone read it. Say it again, please. It says a new commandment, but there really were no new commandments were not really. Okay. Really. We asked the Lord grace commandments with the love, all your heart, all your mind, all your soul. Okay. The love, brother. Yeah. Right. But what's new about this is that going back to what we said, this is a continuation of the Passover. This is a continuation of the Passover. What was Christ getting ready to do? Christ was getting ready to die for us. Okay? And he said, not just love like you love yourself, to love like I love, that adds more to it. Do we understand that? Do we really understand? Because if I say love like I love you, love me, I do things to my body that I know wrong. So I can't love my body. Okay. That these things I have no business doing to myself. So it cannot be like I love myself. That's not good enough. You gotta be like Christ love. That's not love. Again, that's consistent with what Christ's role is the whole journey. Consistent with Christ's role in the whole journey. His role was to come and die on the cross. Why? Because he loved. For God to love the world, he gave himself to death. Who shall believe in him shall not perish, not that. Yes.
My question is why?
Huh? Why did he die? Because the death, death is the penalty of sin from day one. Death is the penalty of sin. Okay. Christ did not sin, but we need we needed a way out. We needed a way out. God wanted to give us a way out. God gave us a way out by his son dying. Instead of me dying physically, his son died physically. He took my sin. He took my thoughts. He took everything that I was supposed to have, and he took it on. That's why. Because if we have it, and we sacrifice that, we still do. And so that and also because prophesy. Prophet. I just prophesy. Both that that this was the house. Again, also in Genesis, God said that he would give us someone that could fight Satan. So we should that's why. Yes. But my question is, okay. What makes it special is that he had not sinned. That's what makes it special. Everyone else who died had sinned. So you see, they died because of their sin. Christ did not die because of his sin. Christ died because of my sin. Because of my sin. Not because of his sin. So yeah, there were a lot of prophets who came through. They were great prophets. But they had all had a problem. Christ is the only one here. Remember when they were going to kill a lamb, the lamb had to be killed without blemish. The lamb could not be one that had a problem. Christ died because he had for me, had no faith. He had no faith. He's the only one that could. You go back and look at talk about the book of Revelation when it talked about the seal in the book. Only one person opened the book. The only person opened the book was Christ. But Christ is different. That's that, that's something that we don't always, because yes, it's now 2,000 years, but everything that's happening now was already gone. Nothing new. Any other question? Any other question? I think anyone else. I was right. Satisfied. Righteous. That shit. And also, try to pay reason. Beautiful the price it would and take that
before Christ, priest for God. Many sacrifices. But when Christ came, like that, not only just the man but also he's for that's why find justice by forever afterward. I so not only was the Christ given heaven, but that Christ is God, and Christ comes and he offers up instant to satisfy that justice. I am Christ. Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
Okay. And again, back to the word covenant. We have several covenants. Christ, the communion was the covenant that we live under. But we lived under all the others did not go away. The others did not go away. They built them. They built them. Okay. All right. Just to conclude here, uh, we talked about why Easter is celebrated. And again, all I'm saying is that understand that there's nothing in the Bible that says we're supposed to celebrate Easter. Okay. But we choose to, that's fine. But don't get it mixed up with Easter. Okay. All right. And understanding symbolism of Egypt. And I was right there. Why did I write Egypt? Why did I write Egypt? Tell me why I was it. Children of Israel had a Passover from slavery in Egypt to the promised land. Guess what? You have a Passover from the slavery, the things that you used to, that used to get you to go. Now you have the ability to be free from those things to the Passover. To the Passover. Your Passover different from my Passover. But Christ's death gives us the opportunity for that Passover. So the Passover is not from Egypt to the promised land. It's from whatever slave you were enslaved by, whatever those shackles were. You can get out of those shackles if you choose to. If you choose. Okay. All right. We talked about other celebrations around Easter, and as always, the main thing, the main. Always keep the main thing. Okay. All right. Thank you. Just go outside now. Outside,